The film begins with a man named Torop waking up from a deep sleep, feeling scared because of a nightmare about something that will happen in 6 days. He used to be a soldier and now works as a smuggler in Eastern Europe. He is very skilled with weapons and hand-to-hand combat and knows a lot about war strategies. This story takes place in a future world similar to ours but with more wars, including where Torop lives. Soon after, Torop returns to his old, run-down apartment with rabbit meat he bought at the market. He starts cooking it and makes a delicious meal. He is an excellent cook, almost like a famous chef. Before eating, he takes a moment to pray. While enjoying his meal, armed soldiers suddenly burst into the room and point their guns at Torop. Despite the tense situation, he stays calm, already guessing who is behind the attack. It turns out to be Carl, a terrorist who has troubled Torop before. Using his skills, Torop quickly overpowers Carl. After dealing with Carl, Torop puts on his jacket and follows the soldiers out of the apartment. They lead him to a tank waiting by the road. Inside, he finds Gorsky, along with Gorsky's wife and daughter. Gorsky asks Torop to be a courier and take a young girl to New York. At first, Torop is unsure, but when he is promised a new identity, he agrees. A new identity is more valuable to him than money. Soon after, Torop is dropped off in a field and waits for a helicopter to pick him up. He gets into a car hanging from the helicopter. While in the car, Torop falls asleep and wakes up when it lands in the rocky hills of Kyrgyzstan. A woman comes out of a monastery in the hills, introduces herself as Sister Rebecca, Aurora's nanny, and gives Torop 3 conditions he must follow. Later, Torop opens the trunk to put Aurora's bag inside and checks a map that looks like Google Maps on an old atlas sheet. He marks several destinations to plan their journey and figure out the direction they need to go. Not long after, Aurora and Sister Rebecca came to the car, and Torop greeted them quietly. Aurora asked Torop about himself, and he answered coldly. Then, Torop started the car, and their journey began. They drove through the desert and entered Kazakhstan, near the Russian border. From there, they would continue by a fast train. Torop told Aurora to change into some clothes she got from the market. Some people were secretly following them from a distance. Aurora was confused by the new world she was seeing, as she had lived her whole life in the monastery in the hills. It was hard to reach the train station entrance because it was very crowded. Torop had to buy tickets from a scalper. In the crowd, Aurora got scared and ran away. Luckily, Torop and Sister Rebecca chased her. While arguing, they suddenly had to run, jump, and dodge explosions in a parkour-style chase to catch the train. They managed to get inside the train, but there were no seats. Torop tried to buy seats from a Mongolian family, but they ignored him until Aurora spoke to them in their language. After Aurora showed her deep understanding, the train arrived in Vladivostok, Russia. They went to an evacuation area where officers checked them. Torop then took Aurora and Sister Rebecca to a battle arena, where he met his old friend Finn and asked for help to get to Canada. Once they made a deal, Torop quickly took Aurora and Sister Rebecca out of the arena. They were stopped by a group of young people who offered Torop $1 million to hand over Aurora. Surrounded by the group, Torop had to fight them off, and Sister Rebecca showed her kung fu skills. Suddenly, one of the youths tried to take Aurora, but a fighter in the ring saved her. He stopped anyone from entering and closed the ring door. The fighter saw Aurora crying in fear, so Torop entered the ring to calm her down. However, the event organizers turned their interaction into a competition. The intense fight was almost won by Torop, but Aurora asked him to stop. As the round ended, Sister Rebecca and one of the boys entered the ring, revealing they were sent by Aurora's father. Ignoring Sister Rebecca, Aurora chose to join the group of youths. Soon after, Torop and Sister Rebecca chased them and found out the group were skilled parkour experts. The chase was interrupted by a gunshot from Torop. Not wanting anyone hurt, Aurora decided to go with Torop again, and the group managed to escape. Emotions were high until Sister Rebecca calmed Aurora down. The next morning, they and the refugees began a dangerous journey across the frozen sea caused by global warming. Along the way, they saw a massive submarine emerging from the ice. The refugees rushed to the submarine, causing chaos, and not everyone could get on board. Due to time constraints, the ship's captain ordered the crew to retreat into the ice, leaving behind the refugees who couldn't make it. Some soldiers even shot at the refugees trying to get on the ship. Aurora entered the ship and tried to sabotage the controls, but Torop stopped her. Suddenly, Aurora seemed possessed and then lost consciousness. Later, Sister Rebecca told Torop about her time with Aurora. She had cared for Aurora since she was a baby, and everything was fine until 3 months ago when a doctor gave her pills that changed her behavior. Torop was shocked to learn that Aurora could speak 19 languages since the age of 2 and had unexpected skills with various tools. At the same time, Finn raised suspicions to Torop, suggesting that Aurora might carry a virus in her body. Soon after, they landed in the Bering Strait, Alaska, and continued their journey by jet ski across the icy desert. 2 drones started following them, shooting bombs. Torop distracted the drones away from Aurora by luring them towards himself. Meanwhile, Finn escorted Aurora and Sister Rebecca to the border. The relentless drones kept chasing them, firing non-stop, but Torop bravely attacked them when they released bullets. Shortly after, Aurora and Sister Rebecca hurried to help Torop, who was injured. Aurora used her hands to remove metal shards from his body. Suddenly, Finn pointed a gun at them, but Torop shot Finn in self-defense as he was trying to betray them. They finally crossed into Canada and spent the night there. Torop cooked a delicious meal that impressed Sister Rebecca. However, their happiness was short-lived when Aurora said they would all die in New York. Later, Torop and Aurora talked under the sky. He shared that he had been at war and wanted to return to New York. Taking Aurora with him was the only way for him to go back to America. After freshening up at a hotel, they continued their journey to New York by plane. Finally, they reached New York and entered a high-tech house. Aurora was shocked to see news about the destruction of their monastery in Kyrgyzstan. Torop started realizing there was a big plan involving Aurora. Suddenly, Gorsky contacted Torop and blamed him for the attack on the abbey. Gorsky sent a doctor to examine Aurora and planned to turn off the GPS on Torop's passport. Soon after, 2 groups approached Torop's apartment, one from Neolite and the other from Gorsky. The doctor arrived and started examining Aurora. After the doctor left, Torop got emotional because Sister Rebecca hadn't been honest with him. Their argument was interrupted when Aurora came out of the room and revealed she was pregnant with twins. Soon after, the leader of Neolite contacted Torop and told him to put Aurora in the car waiting outside the apartment. However, Torop had other plans. He and Sister Rebecca accompanied Aurora to the car, but instead of handing her over, they took action. Suddenly, a fierce gunfight broke out in the middle of the city. They planned to escape using the subway, but one of Gorsky's team members launched a missile linked to the GPS on Torop's passport. During the chaos, Aurora fearlessly walked amid the flying bullets, while Sister Rebecca fought off the mercenaries. Torop, who survived the explosion, joined Sister Rebecca in the fight until she was shot and killed. Determined to protect Aurora, Torop pressed on. Then, another missile was fired, and unexpectedly, Aurora pulled out a gun and shot Torop, killing him instantly. The next day, Torop woke up in a health facility owned by Dr. Darkwandir. The doctor had revived him by implanting a system to replace his damaged body parts. Darkwandir explained that he had implanted artificial intelligence into Aurora's brain while she was still a fetus, as requested by the Neolites. He also revealed that Gorsky had tried to kill him, but he survived. Soon after, Darkwandir equipped Torop with advanced tools to extract his last memory before dying. Torop discovered that Aurora had asked him to take her home just before the missile explosion. Darkwandir then urged Torop to find Aurora. The next day, the leader of the Neolites tracked down Torop by visiting Darkwandir. Before that, she shot and killed Gorsky. Soon after, the Neolite leader met with Darkwandir, and they argued over Aurora, whom both saw as their child. He accused her of using religion and planning to exploit Aurora to gain power. Then, after killing Darkwandir, the Neolite group began hunting down Torop. Meanwhile, Torop arrived at his house and found Aurora. 6 months later, Aurora gave birth to twins. Shortly afterward, she passed away. It turned out her purpose had been to give birth, and her life beyond that was not part of the program implanted in her brain. Now, Torop became the father of Aurora's 2 children. The film ends. So the moral of the story is, when life throws you a mission with a mysterious girl, always pack snacks, learn parkour, and expect a wild ride to New York with a side of unexpected parenthood.